it's so interesting that people who have these near-death experiences, they have very similar accounts of what they saw, what they felt in that moment. And they share it right after they, come to. And I think obviously people don't research this like they're not like sharing a script, but it's real what they feel. And so I think that is the gratitude. I mean, I always look for gratitude in things, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I would say that if I had been in that situation, that is gratitude I would have to just come out with more love and more awareness that how important it is to lead from a place of love always.
Yeah, that's like exactly like me. I love it. Yeah.
And Pisces season with Venus in Pisces. So what better time to talk about?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so first I want to get some, because I started recording, you probably saw, and so like this was branching off of like the support group for the brain injuries and everything, but I've been interpreting my healing much more at a much wider scale, like astrology. And like I've been always reaching for, I don't know, new avenues to discover, or like what might work for me. It may not work for somebody else, but like astrology really piqued my interest as I gained more of an understanding, because I joined an astrology group here in Austin, now that I live in Austin. And I was so inspired by everybody, like with how knowledgeable all these astrologers are. And that was terrific. But
is that recent that you joined? Is it like in person, or is it on?
It's in person.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's, I think, an Austin astrology group or whatever. And it's super awesome. And I wanted to start off asking, like, how did you get into astrology? Like, it's really out there.
So when I was born in Santa Monica, my mother did my chart by hand in the hospital. And this is in the 70s, 1974. And she was inspired to do my chart by hand. So I know she was eager to know my birth time. And so she would do charts. She was a professional. She was an executive in a company, but astrology was always something she was interested in. So she eventually got software. I think I was like in middle school or high school, and she got software. And so I'd say, "Oh, Mom, can you do a compatibility chart with me and somebody that I was dating or whatever?" But kind of like what you're saying, how you got into it, when I got deeper into it, it's when you are just looking for more clarity or more answers to things that you can't find, or you just want some different avenues of information and understanding of like events that happen in your life. And so for me, it was in my 40s, and I started working. I hired an astrologer that I talked to like once a month about what was going on in my chart. She's a Vedic astrologer, and she was great. And then I started studying under her, and then I studied under 2 other astrologers. And so I really got to understand it better. And there's just, you can't make this stuff up. Things that have happened in my life show up in the chart, in my chart and others. And I've done over 100 readings for people at this point. And I think it's just interesting. They're all different. I don't know somebody from Adam. I was at the hair salon last week, and this girl was sitting next to me, and she gave me her birth information. I just read her chart for her. I don't know her at all. And I gave her some basic stuff and she's like, oh my gosh, that's so spot on.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I think
That's
it's
really
a fun
cool.
tool. It's a fun tool. And I think it's like, it works. So to the extent we can have a little more awareness, a little more guidance in life, a little more understanding that we're not doomed, having that roadmap is like an additional GPS for us to have, I think. So
Yeah, I like that. It's a good way to think about it. Like it's just a GPS. It's cool. And ask, so your mom helped you get into it, and so you were born into this. Like, so say for the people that they could be, older people, just, older than my age too, or just all ages, how do they learn about astrology,
I think, well, fortunately for YouTube, there are a lot of free resources. You can watch videos and learn about it. The website that I like to use that actually my teachers recommend is astro.com. It's free and you can store your charts there, your chart, and they don't have, you can pay to have interpretations on there, but it's a way to get familiar with the symbols, to get familiar with how a chart looks. There's a lot of different styles of charts, a lot of different charts you can do for timing techniques of your life. So that's a great place to just get familiar with it if you're curious. I think videos like the astrology podcast, I think you were asking about that, weren't you? That's a great video. It's so informative. Like those guys are like PhDs. I swear they're so knowledgeable. And I love when they link a lot of different things together. And the thing about astrology is it's based on patterns, patterns of recorded history. And so it's not being made up. It's like, okay, so when these planets were in this position, this happened. And and it happened again. Oh, and it happened again. And so it's kind of just following patterns. And it's cool to learn that. But I think YouTube's a great resource. And then if somebody's inspired to learn more, a lot of astrologers have inexpensive webinars or like short courses. Like my first course I ever took was on Venus retrograde, which is kind of unusual. That doesn't happen very often. And I was curious about that. And then I got into another lengthier class. Then I got into a certification class. So you just go down the rabbit hole.
That's exciting for sure. Yeah, I mean, exciting once you get because it's on the surface, it's such a deep and ever expanding subject and thing to have good knowledge about or experience with. And I think that's one of those things that like kind of pushes people away from those types of things where they get like a little too nervous and they're like, there's so much to learn. I'm just not going to do it. That's for other people or whatever. But I think there is a lot of personal observation you can have of yourself that can be it's like a backbone to what what you're curious about, or how can you expand this knowledge that like you want to get your questions answered.
Yeah. I would say the first place to start would be with your own personal chart and get familiar with that and learn about, like, if somebody were really curious, like look at your chart. And also another recommendation I would say is there's so many teachers out there and you just find a voice that clicks with you and you find somebody who resonates with you. And if somebody's interested in studying this or learning more about it, YouTube, again, like that's a great place to start, and just search for different astrologers. I like Vedic astrology. That's Vedic, which is Indian. It's from India. It's different than Western astrology, but I'm certified in Western astrology. So, but I think just try to find a voice that resonates with you. It's like any teacher. The teachers we love the best in school, they just clicked, right? So I wouldn't, discard the study of astrology just because you haven't found somebody that you want to learn from.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think like you already are a great teacher from just being in a group with you. And I think you help, I think, invite more insight into the way you approach these different things throughout your life, experiences and all that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What was your first reaction and like to being exposed? I mean, I guess, I know you grew up with it. So how did that affect you knowing these things about people, maybe because you have an advantage in the knowledge space of astrology,
I mean,
of people,
like
happenings, everything?
what was like my first like big dose of awareness that this is really accurate or
Yeah.
um I think just understanding my chart was my mother would always, she had printed reports and she would, it's true. Like understanding my chart was the first thing. I guess the first like, wow, aha moment is something I just went through, in Vedic astrology. It's called the Sade Sati. And we go through that about 3 times in our life. I don't know if you were on the call when I was talking about this, but so it's different than your Saturn return, which is like at 2754. It's different than that, but it's based on when Saturn transits the house in your chart before your moon, and then the next house. And it's about 8 years, 7.5, 8 years. It's a very challenging time. And Saturn, the planet Saturn, in that period takes things from you that you thought were like a given in your life. And I experienced a lot of loss, like divorce. My mother died. My father died. My mother died. A lot of friendships that were decades long, just like poof. And also because of where Saturn was transiting in my chart, it was it transited my 9th house where my Venus is. Sorry, this might be too weedy, but transiting these houses where, okay, you transited my Venus, then my moon sign and my public persona, how I'm known as, how I was known like publicly. And then my house of friendships was the last one. And it just ended. And so I'm not going to lie. It was very challenging for me. However, what Saturn trains us to take or takes away from us, it creates room for what is meant for us. And so I had that ability to look at life where when something leaves, there's a reason, whatever it is, you lose something like your, keys. No, that's not a reason, but microphone. No. But with like relationships, it can be harder, especially when it was just so like concentrated in like 8 years. So that was when that's when I started studying it much more in depth. And usually what every astrologer teacher I've had says is that some major life experience that you cannot understand brings you to a more spiritual practice if you are spiritually inclined. And because of my chart, I know I am. And so I'm grateful for understanding that and grateful it's over.
What in your chart is like signifying that though, like that you are more spiritually inclined?
So, Neptune in my eighth house of Sagittarius, I believe. Yeah. I do know that. That definitely is an indicator. Sagittarius is a teacher. It's like very fast fire energy. It's different than Aries, but having Neptune there can be an indicator of somebody who the eighth house is transformation, it's death and rebirth, but it's also like a little bit mysterious. There's other meanings for the eighth house, but when Neptune is in there, that can be an indicator. I have Chiron, the wounded healer, in my 12th house, and the 12th house is also hidden spirituality, many things. And probably, yeah, the first 51 years of your life. At 51, you go through your Chiron return. And I would say that me becoming more vocal in my spirituality and teaching it happened after I healed all the wounds to allow that. And so we all go through a Chiron return, and it's, for me, it's in my 12th house. And that's an indicator of my 12th house is Aries. Again, like an ambitious energy to share stuff, you know? And so now it's like, I want to help people heal and understand what they've gone through, or that it's not all bad, you know? And I think clients come to me because they want hope.
Yeah. And can I, for the people that don't know, like, you know, they don't they don't necessarily know what is what.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. There's like a lot of language I'm dropping. Sorry.
And it's totally fine. This is when we're gonna help. So like, how do you simply describe the astrology chart, and you know, like the cycles and the houses, the whatever, yeah.
So
Like,
the very first thing I would suggest is, one, you need your birth time, because without that, you wouldn't know where the houses fall. Like, there are many planets that are not going to change, you know, within the same day. The moon changes every 2 days, two and a half, yeah. And then, but your rising sign is the most important, and that would be your first house. So that changes every 2 hours. And the rising sign, if you look at a chart, it looks like a clock, right? And so the rising sign is the first house, and it's like the house that was on the horizon at the time you were born. And so from that, everything else falls in place. You can get some, you know, general ideas about how things may go in your life based on planets being next to each other that may never change. So that said, birth time is most important. Obviously, people know their birth location and their date of birth. And from that, I would say the very first thing anybody should do is know their sun sign, their moon sign, and their rising sign. And that will tell you a lot of information. Like, your rising sign is like how you show up every day, how people see you in your day to day. Your sun sign is, as a child, like, it's like your father. As an adult, it's like your profession, like how you become like leader in the world, you know, in your own world is, and your moon sign as a child, it can represent your mother. It does represent your mother. And as an adult, like your mental, emotional, how you express emotions mentally, it can also represent home. So those three things can tell somebody a lot. And then from there, it can get very, you know, you can go down a lot of holes, like to understand more. But I would say if somebody wants to learn, it's search on YouTube for like the big three. And the big three is your sun, moon, and rising sign. Like, for example, I'm a Taurus rising. I'm a Pisces sun. I've never like identified as a Pisces. But later in life, the sun sign does play more of a part. And I definitely have been, doing spiritual work and stuff, like lean into my intuition. But I've always been very practical and very much like a Taurus. And I love stability, a lot of characteristics of a Taurus. So, and my moon being Aquarius makes so much sense. Like I can be very compartmentalized with my emotions. And my mother was that way too. And it's in my 10th house of profession. And my background is in science. So it's like, it makes sense. So it's kind of fun when you
things
see
are adding up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of fun because it also, like, let's say you really are set on pursuing something and you're just like, why can't I do this? Whatever it is. Like, let's say I wanted to be an artist. It's not going to work out. Like, but if I was really, really trying, like I can sing, but I can't paint. So, but if I really want to paint, it's like I'm wasting my time. And I know that. It kind of helps you like lean into what you're meant to do. And there is a gift and also knowing what can be hard for you to do, but you can still master with time. But it kind of just gives you, a reason not to give up on something or a reason to pursue something that is more fitting for you.
Yeah, it's true. And so how would I'm totally losing my train of thinking right there.
That's okay. Mercury retrograde. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. This is for me potentially leaving the video to have the viewers see me experience. Pretty funny. But yeah, there's just, you said a lot of beautiful things about a good description. And was it all learned just from repetitively doing it and basically making that your life because you grew up being with your mother and stuff?
I gotta say, it wasn't until my life got challenging, and I really did not face a lot of challenges until I did, and so then I wanted to understand, because like I'd always had really good luck, and then it was like I should have just at some point stayed home, like not left my house. And I felt that way. I was like, should I just like not go anywhere for 2 years? Because at one point it was so unusual. And it just did not make any sense. It made no sense. It wasn't like, oh, I brought this on myself. And that it's like you're in a person's chart, they have their south node and their north node. And so it's kind of like the karma of my past life and the purpose of this life. And those were, they were being brought to light, and it's hard, but I never, my mother would talk about houses and I was just like, ugh, I didn't understand it. And then just by practicing it, and I became so curious, I wanted to learn. And I think that if you find a good teacher, like so many teachers offer courses, I would just say, do like a freebie first and see how that goes. And if you are interested, it can be, I think that if somebody's really curious, they will learn how to process the chart, but there's so many layers to it, like so many. And I know I talk quickly and I just assume, I'm not assuming anybody knows what I'm saying or what I'm talking about, but it's hard to like dumb it down a bit for me. But I would just say again, the big three: sun, moon, and your rising sign. They'll tell you everything. Like I've met people and they'll say, "Oh, I'm this." I'm like, "Well, that means nothing. Like, what's your rising sign?" Like, because that resonates with me so much more than like my sun sign. The moon sign resonates with me a lot more and more. And also like knowing where your Venus is, like knowing where your Mars is, like the big planets like Jupiter and Saturn, you want to know where those are too. But that's like a second level, I think.
Mm.
What have you been
Yeah.
learning in your astrology group?
What have I been learning?
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been, well, I have this like cool, part of the influence for me to like get more ingrained into that interest of astrology was, the fortunate gift. I think it's in my room, but it's this nice book, like a pretty extensive book, that it has your chart on it, and then it's because it was all made based on your time, date. I mean, like all the astrology, and so that's really cool. There's maybe I'll leave a link to that book, like to get that book for yourself. I'm gonna have to figure that out for my mom, but I just think that helped like ingrain it, like or like ingrain the interest, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like now I'm like more in like inside the thing, and I'm curious on like how it's gonna open, how it's everything is happening so beautifully.
Yeah. And I think something we talked about before, just like understanding how to use like your strengths in and understanding why we experience trauma or tragic events and growing from that and then helping others, you know, who might be in that situation understand like, okay, I've had clients where they're like, wow, so they blame themselves for things that have happened that had nothing to do. It was almost like, sorry, there's something in my eye.
Yeah, okay.
It's like I do believe that our souls come into this physical experience with a purpose. And it's obviously not known to us when we're, you know, some people never understand that, and that's fine. But those of us who want to understand it, we want to understand it. And I think that astrology is one tool to help you understand, okay, I have this contract. My soul has this contract to experience this stuff that I've experienced. So,
Mm.
and it just is. I mean, and I think that when we accept it and we lean into it, that's when like acceptance of a situation helps us grow and become, you know, fulfilling that soul's contract, that purpose.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does. And so, would you say? I think I know the answer, but would you say that these like tragic moments and the happenings in your life or things to occur during your life that you become aware of, or maybe not even become aware of, are those like kind of self-assigned, like not from you in this 3D body, in this human body, but your soul may kind of predicate you to learn this assignment, essentially.
I do. And I believe also that like if I notice a pattern in myself of experiencing or feeling discomfort or pain emotionally, it means I have more work to do and more understanding. And then it's just like it's like a GPS, right? Astrology is like a GPS for me. And I'm going to choose a different route and like rerouting my path. And I think that when it's completely out of left field and makes no sense as to why that pain happened and I experienced it, that to me feels karmic. It feels like part of like my soul's contract. Like it could have been something that I maybe could have experienced earlier in life and I did not. And so now I am, or whatever. And there are some timing techniques in astrology, like the Lot of Fortune, which will give you really precise dates to when these like karmic shifts will happen in your life, which is pretty cool. The Lot of Eros this is interesting. It's like about love. And for me, you can't make this stuff up. In my chart, it's October 1st, 2000. And that was when I had my first date with my ex-husband. I mean, it's like you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
And there's like 4 levels, and that's a much deeper or much more complicated timing tool, but it's really not, but it is. But it's interesting when I go, oh, okay, so I'm going to be in this period until 2030, which makes a lot of sense to me also. So certain things are just like, okay, that's like they're fated. And then there are other things that we have free will. So, like, for example, if you know, like now I'm aware, like Mercury's retrograde right now, right?
Mm.
What that means for people, they don't know what that means. Like Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. And it's like, it's actually an optical illusion. It looks like it's going backwards, but in astrology, Mercury rules communication, short distance travel, technology, intellect. It's like everything about communication. And, during these periods, I always tell people, and I know for myself, like, I'm not going to sign a contract. I'm not going to commit myself to anything that is a big commitment, whether, and you meet somebody new, whether it's a friend or it's just people come back into your life, they revisit you and, or friendships like.
Now, okay, I want to ask though,
Yeah.
what if you do like you impulsively feel, well, maybe not impulsively, but like you, it's something you need to do, or else you lose the opportunity because maybe they are leaving or something soon.
So with like Mercury retrograde, it's also like the sati, anything that was like already, the wheels were already in motion before, it's okay. So if you had a job interview or something happened, but it's just being really careful about that contract. But as far as like during this like period, it started, I believe, February 26th and it goes until March 20th, and it's in Pisces. And so in Pisces, Mercury is in its detriment. So this is a very challenging Mercury retrograde. So for example,
What is the detriment again?
so detriment is when a planet is like not happy in that house. And
Right.
Pisces is all about intuition, emotions. It's not verbal. And Mercury is all about like fast, quick communication. Like Mercury loves Gemini and Virgo, doesn't like Pisces at all. And so it's a period where you might be misunderstood. You might be forgetful. Neptune is a ruler of Pisces, and Neptune's very dreamy. But it can be very emotional. And just like forgetting things. Like I've forgotten, like I just forgot, or I thought about something like, did I do that? Did I forget that? And so that's like, it's a time, any Mercury retrograde is a time to check your plans. Like don't book travel. Like travel could go completely awry. Just really unexpected, like emotional outbursts in this one in particular. So again, like the tool of awareness is knowing like, okay, Mercury's retrograde. Okay, I'm going to be really cognizant of my calendar and not forget things and just be really aware of anything I commit to. And it's kind of fun when you know this because you're like, of course, like I couldn't find my remote last night for my TV. Can't find it. Like that's such a Mercury retrograde moment. Like I'm not meant to like watch TV. I couldn't find my remote. I had a, it was a couple of minutes late for this, but moving my microphone, whatever, that's like not a big deal. But there are other things, that have shown up. So again, just like understanding that. And also it gives you grace. Like you're not like going to be like worried, like what's going on? Why is everything so crazy? How can I fix this? It's just like giving yourself grace to like, just like chill and like take a time out from things,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds a lot of like personal, like self grace. For me, like misplacing my microphone. That's why I'm using these. And like I give myself grace because I have a sort of a bandage to it, like where I can say, oh, well, I'm brain injured. I'm going to give myself a break. Like this is, brain injured people forget things. And I mean, short-term memory is not my best friend or anybody with a brain injury's best friend. But I think there is a lot of grace to be given through that.
Well, and I think just understanding like the timing of the sky, it will help you even, especially with a brain injury, like lean more into like that grace where you're like, you're not falling apart. Just, it's a temporary moment to just like take a second and not put pressure on yourself to be perfect. Like this is not a phase at all to strive for perfection. Not at all. Until March 20th. And there's also a shadow period. So it's like a shadow period, like it's like a teaser leading into it. And then there's like the Mercury retrograde hangover that comes after. You're like, oh my God, it's like lingering. And it's 3 times a year. And it's always around this time, but different houses. And then we also had a lunar eclipse, which was a lot. I mean, so understanding that is pretty cool. I think it's interesting. Back to your first question, like, how did I get into this? It was more out of like curiosity. I didn't put any stock in it as far as like, I did not plan my life around it, but now I do. Because it works. It really does work. And I understand, well, okay, I better lay low or maybe I should get out and like be social because this is a good time. Actually, right now it is a good time for me to be social.
Perfect.
But it's kind of funny because we're having this conversation and Pisces, the planet of love, Venus, the planet of love is in Pisces, exalted, loves Pisces. And we're talking about like mystical things, which is so Mercury in Pisces as well. So you can do good things with the timing of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like you can go into like so many branches of it and expand, like, because I mean life is life, which is in essence a whole lot of things and a lot of experiences, a lot of people, a lot of jobs, a lot of schools. I mean all the like stages of life that we go through.
Mm-hmm.
You can reflect on like the comparison to when, say, Mercury is in retrograde, like when this last happened or whatever, which that was, didn't you say 15 years cycles or whatever? Mercury goes retrograde.
It goes 3 times a year.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll have another one. I didn't look at the dates, but probably like July or August or maybe August, and then probably another one like in like December, November. And so it's interesting because it just depends on which house it's landing in, like where it's affecting. So this could bring back, when it's in Pisces, it could bring back like, and I can attest this. I've been pretty emotional the past few days, especially like about just like my kids and just like things like, it brings back past emotions and it allows you to reflect upon them and revisit them. It can bring back past relationships that you're like, I haven't heard from this person. And then they text you out of the blue. That happens all the time. I had this one client and he always, I was coaching him a lot in happiness coaching. And then he always texts me during Mercury retrograde. And I'm like, of course you text me. He's like, can we get lunch? It's because he wants like a freebie, he wants like a free coaching. He's like, I'm doing good, but he wants to get lunch. And I'm like, it's always during Mercury retrograde, always.
That's pretty hilarious.
And it's fun. I mean, yeah, it's fun.
Do you think that's intentional? Like, is he aware of that?
Well, no? I've told him, I'm like, you always reach out during Mercury retrograde and okay, fine. I'll give you like a free coaching session, but you're buying lunch. Like, but
That's pretty funny.
I would say not every Mercury retrograde, like probably twice a year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
Oh, funny. Yeah. But I mean, again, it's about communication. So he wants to revisit the coaching communication, I guess, and what I share with him or help, how I can help him communicate better in his relationship. So it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah, that's it's like kind of the one of the cool parts, I think, of something as deep as astrology is like subjects like these, or things, understandings like these. I mean, like human understand, capable human understanding, which yeah, is so much, is such a interesting thing to endlessly, like, because you always have something to learn, like certain planets, will be conjunct at this season, or you know this phase with this alignment, this astrological alignment,
Mhm.
that like the one, wasn't it just recently that one, it was like five or six planets were all like pretty much perfectly aligned recently.
Yes, I am trying to remember. Well, I know that the five outer planets, so the outer planets are the ones that don't move very often. So Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, and what am I blanking on?
Is that because
Uranus.
there's
So Uranus, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter. They are like, well, Pluto and Uranus are like generational planets. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. It just switched. So what I've learned and what I've heard from a number of astrologers that are much, much more uh, educated than I am on this, like never in this time have we seen the five planets, those five switch houses. It's like never happened. But there are some similarities where, like, when last time Pluto was in Aquarius, it was during like the French Revolution, I believe the American Revolution. And then one of the times when Uranus was in Gemini, Uranus switches like it depends on the house. It can be like, it was in Taurus from 2018 until it's still there until April, because it came out of it, then it retrograded. But anyway, and then Gemini, it could be like a shorter time period. But that last time happened like the Civil War. And I'm not a historian on astrology, but it's interesting how we are seeing a lot of conflict in the world right now. And again, back to the whole thing of like when things get taken away, it can allow a place for love and allow a place for healing, And so conflict is hard to see. As my kids say, it's cringe. Well, I don't know if cringe is like
funny.
a word anymore, but like it's cringy. It's just
Yeah.
like just like not get out of bed. You're like, I don't want to see this. But it happens, it's like to create space for what's meant to be there for the world, like in a world area. But like Saturn just changed, also just went to Aries, and Neptune. They were at a 0-degree conjunction, which is like not been in like, not in our lifetime. Like this will never happen again in our lifetime, ever. And so it's kind of an interesting period to be studying astrology because we've never seen this pattern in history. So we've seen pieces of it.
Exciting.
It is, and I love Holden. I love that you are so like your mindset is one where about possibility and excitement and potential, like, and that is what there's so many people like want that, and they should have that, like wonder, curiosity, like what else is possible, and like to be excited. I love when you share that in the other group that we're in, where it's like, yeah, it's an instant shift for me to like be like not afraid. of things that are happening, you know, and like, and I'm really not, I don't watch the news. Don't watch the news. It's like,
Yeah, that's
people
just
choose.
noise.
Well, and they want you to, they hook you on fear. Like they don't
Yeah.
make money if you're not watching. So
Yeah.
how can they make you watch? Like if it's all feel good stories, you're going to go out and live a good life. Like, but if it's all fearful stories, then you're going to be hooked on the fear. That's how we as a species survived, right? That's why we're still here. But I think that to be excited about the possibility of what's next and, you know, things that don't work, you know, Pluto and Aquarius can upset currencies or can change currencies like money. I mean, think about when the US got started. Pluto and Aquarius. And I guess I imagine we had a new currency started then too. I don't know the history of the dollar.
Wasn't that because it was just the 200-year anniversary or whatever.
It's significant, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so all these planets switching has not been seen, and it's going to allow people keep saying also like extraterrestrial stuff, which I personally I'm not that curious about like other like civilizations. Like I know people are, but it's just for me, it's like I'm good on Earth. Like I'm good here. Like that's the Taurus in me, I guess. No, bless you. But you know, I don't. But there's a lot of things that could come up because in Pluto and Aquarius is just like stirring that pot. So
it's super exciting.
breaking social like everything's like just being broken down. So
yes,
it is cool. Yeah.
It's funny, like we can observe and like enjoy the disassembly essentially of the way we've lived for the past couple hundred years. And you know, like what was normal is like now abstract, and the abstract is becoming the normal. Like it's like the kind of the it's like the it feels like, from what I understand or my knowledge of the like 60s 70s, is it's like we're like in a hippie sort of era, or beginning of the hippie era.
I feel like with the Saturn and Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees in Aries is very pure, and Neptune is like dreamy, hidden. I always say dreamy, which may or may not be the best word, but it's very hidden. And Saturn is the taskmaster, and it's in Aries, which is like, you know, the very first fire sign, right? The first sign in the chart. And so it's like Saturn is like taking to task all the disillusion that's been happening. And literally the day that it hit that conjunction and you have Pluto and Aquarius, what's that? Like dismantling or exposing governments. What happened on that day? The former Prince Andrew got arrested that day. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Like that's wild. Like that was February 17th, I believe. That's wild. Like you can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's so cool. Like, and I just got full energy chills. So yeah, I'm right. Yeah. Thank you, universe. But it's like, it's just wild when you think about that. It's like, and so astrologers will predict things that could happen. And, like the weather has been really strange. Like the day that Neptune and Saturn were at 0, it was pouring rain, like floods here, not flooding here, but where I live, but it was very unusual heavy rains for February. And I told my tennis partners, I'm like, well, Saturn and Neptune are at 0 degrees. They're like, like that's but you see, I'm like, of course it's pouring rain. Neptune is like rain. It's water, you know, and it's almost like its last hurrah before it goes into air. It's in Aries at that point, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like fun.
Yeah. So, speaking of fire and water, and like the I think there's the 3 distinctions of the signs.
There's earth, air, fire, and water. Yeah.
Yeah, 4. I am. So how do you, like, I don't know like the history of astrology necessarily. So
The
how did,
history of it,
yeah.
like I don't honestly, I can't speak to that, but I know that it's been thousands of years. Um, I think Vedic, and maybe Chinese was the first one. I don't know Chinese astrology, but we are in the year of the fire horse.
Mm.
And it's interesting how that was the same day also. I think that was February 17th as well. Wasn't that?
I I don't know honestly.
So,
I'll
so
take
but
your word for
again,
it.
I mean, like fire, and I think horse is like fast energy. It's like not like the fire, turtle, but it's like fast energy, right? And then you have
Mm.
everything's going to Aries, like Saturn and Neptune are in Aries. Not everything's in Aries, but big shifts. So, um, I think the history of it, I don't really know that. I've not dive deep into that. I know it's been around for thousands of years in India. Like that's how they would actually figure out if couples are compatible. And I do know some people, I have some friends in this area who are of Indian descent and they were matched that way. And it's like, they're so happy, like years of marriage, So I think that there is a lot of validity to compatibility. And I've seen that in myself over the years. So but I don't know the
That's
history of it.
amazing.
So I don't. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
You
it's
cut
all
this part
good.
out.
Yeah.
I wish I had an answer. I could
No,
have looked into it, but I didn't know. So
yeah. It's all good though. And I mean, because it is, it's a lot, incomprehensible. Like to know the entirety of it.
it's something.
Well,
From what I understand, I read this somewhere, and this is like not like my direct information knowledge, but the United States was founded because of the astrology of it. I think weren't the founders of our country Freemasons? And so there's an astrology behind it. They purposely chose the time period, allegedly. Like, oh God, like, oh,
yeah.
maybe you want to cut this out too. But there is like people would use it. I know Ronald Reagan was big into astrology, the former president.
Mm,
But people do use it. They trust it for timing. It's kind of interesting how countries will use it for certain timings. But
the timing and the use of astrology, like people don't typically like they wouldn't just say like, here, let me look at this chart and let me consider like the timing of this decision, based on this astrology that I'm reading. Um, but it's one of those things that I feel like has for the longest time been used to make like some of the biggest decisions that would change the world or like our lifetimes, our experiences, all that stuff.
I
So,
mean, well, also like another big hallmark of Pluto and Aquarius has been AI, and AI has been obviously in the works for a long time. It just doesn't happen overnight. But you saw this a year ago when Pluto first went into Aquarius. It was like, and then it kind of retrograded back, and it was to Capricorn. But it was like AI became a thing. Like, and now it's like if you don't know how to use AI, then you're missing out. And I
yeah,
keep getting all these different class suggestions. I take AI and Google has a new class on it. And it's like, it's so interesting because that's also very much that energy. And so, yeah, understanding like the energy of it is like, okay, like don't fight. You can't fight something that you're going to lose at.
yeah,
I think
it
also,
won't change.
I think also like, when you understand astrology, it just allows you to accept things and just everything where it's like, this is meant to happen. And it's okay to mourn and to grieve over something that has been lost. Of course, that's healthy, but to accept what's happening and to get excited about it, like what's next. We always had that choice of what thought do we want to have about the situation, and like I choose possibility. I choose potential, choose love,
Yeah.
like leading with
Yeah.
love. And,
Yeah, that's the magic.
but also like just getting excited, like that raises your vibration and you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like
Mm.
instead of fear. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of works like, like in like social interactions, like say school, for example. Um, like the way somebody is maybe acting, like it's like the way the energy radiates it is contagious, and that's like undeniable. Like somebody could be pissed in say like the back of the room, and like you might hear them like clearly pissed off or something, but like that energy does transfer to you, and you will feel it to some degree, whether you recognize it or not.
I know 100%. Like energy is contagious, but even more than just saying like energy is contagious, like, um, understanding the hormones that our body releases. Like when you're around somebody who's stressed out, they have a lot of cortisol, adrenaline, and it's a hormone and it's coming out of their skin. And so they've done, scans. There's this one, I think we talked about this before at the Heart Math Institute. Have you heard of them?
I think so. I think we did talk about that
So the
before.
Heart Math Institute, like your heart actually has so many neurotransmitters, and I haven't seen the studies, the data. So I'm just like going on what I learned in my coaching. But essentially, like you have like this 6 foot radius around you of whatever the your body is transmitting. We are electrochemical beings. Everything that happens in our body is electric and chemical. Like if your heart stops, they have to shock it back, you know? And
Mm,
so we are energy, and understanding that is like, okay, so you would be, and we're more sensitive to negative energy because that's how we survive.
mm,
But the person being a jerk in the back of the classroom is like not going to kill us, but we still react to it. I mean, we feel that, you know,
mm.
like to
Oh,
your
that's
point.
very, very true.
But then
Mm,
also like understanding like the transits, like full moons can lead people to be like angry drivers. And so, like for example, yesterday I was driving and this Mercury retrograde cars, short distance travel. I just went through a stop sign. I'm like, I've never done. I've never been in an accident, but I was just like, and this car fortunately was going very slowly. I'm like, oh my god, he would have hit me on my side, my fault. And I was like, how did I just like not pay? I spaced out. That never happens. But I
yeah,
understand. But it kind of told me like, okay, thank you for like the universe showing me what I need to be more aware of. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be super cognizant when driving. I don't want
yeah. It's like reading the warnings is a thing. I mean, and like they might not be necessarily potentially tragic or like, deadly or something, but it's just you I'm thinking like just it's just the way you kind of read it is a whole I mean it's a whole wheelhouse of things like to be considered. And yeah, I'm having like a little brain injury moment right now.
No, that's fine. I think that what I mean, like what you were saying that resonates where I would say like understanding, like I have to be really aware and like really focused on the task at hand and not allow myself to get spaced out. Like I was looking at my ways, a map to go somewhere,
Mm,
and I never, but I noticed yesterday when I was driving, I had to be really focused on the road. Like I could not look away, or, you know what I'm saying? And so I think,
mm.
but then also understand, like not thinking like, oh gosh, am I in cognitive decline? Like, like, no,
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't wonder
yeah,
that. I understood this is happening because of what's happening with Mercury right now. And I believe March 6th, that's today. Yeah. March 6th, I believe
yeah.
that, is it Aries? No, Mars. something shifted today that will shift the whole energy, and I should know.
So,
But something's going to shift in like where in this whole retrograde where it's going to become like more aggressive as it goes on. Aggressive, like random behavior where you're like one of one of my friends, she's a therapist, and she was like, had a client calling her just out of the blue, just like being really aggressive. This is like the last time this happened. And I said, well, Mercury's retrograde. That's why it's happening. And then she's like, she just texted me in the middle of the night and said she didn't want to work with me anymore. I'm like, oh, that's weird. But that's so Mercury energy at that point. So yeah, again, it's a acceptance for what's happening and like awareness, like, okay, it's not about me. And rarely is it about us. You know, when we personalize it, it's because we have work to do in us to understand that it's not about us, you know?
Yeah, very true. That's like that's one of the hardest things is like the self-realization of it, and you know, like avoiding self-blame or ridicule. You know, like say for astrology, actually, like being mad at yourself for, so like say you were mad at yourself for like reading so much into astrology because it's so out there, you
Yeah.
know, but then you realize like it's kind of like your ego is what is judging you. And
That sounds like a self-doubt thing. Like, which is totally normal, like to doubt.
yeah,
I think we doubt what society or what institutions we've grown up with have told us, like, don't trust that. Like, for example, my children go to a Catholic school and they're like, that's witchcraft. I'm like, okay. Like, well, that's your opinion. And, you know, we're all entitled to that. But I don't take it personally. It's like, I've done all their charts and it's really accurate. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
yeah.
but no,
Yeah,
I think the self-doubt, and people will tell us, oh, that's voodoo or that doesn't make sense. And cool. Like, everybody's allowed. Thank God we can all believe what we want to believe, you know, and lean into, I think we all have different paths up the mountain, right, of life. And so it's like, you know, whatever you choose to be your Sherpa on, like, to guide you don't judge. I would never judge somebody else, but yes, we are our own harshest critics. You know, we judge like what we believe, especially if it's like not fulfilling us in a way that we were hoping, you know, but
yeah, definitely. It's like a tougher thing to be considered like for yourself because yeah, self-judgment is a challenge for just humans in general. And you know, because our egos get involved, our belief systems are involved, religions, our, you know, spirituality, our astrology, you know, like our like astrological intellect. I mean, like all the things.
There is actually a way in your chart to see, like for example, my second house of self-worth. So the second house in astrology represents like finances, food, self-worth. It's essentially how your first house represents like when you're born. The second house is like, how do you survive being born? And I just like saying it simply, but I have my South Node in there. So your South Node is like the karma you bring into this life. And for me, it's been appreciating my self-worth. And so the whole thing about like, I was really hard on myself for such a long time, and the judgment and the whole, you know, and then I do the extra step, and like, I'm pursuing my PhD now in neuroscience. I'm like, why is that for me? To prove to somebody, like my parents who passed away. And it's kind of interesting because like my parents were really, really hard on me growing up. But now I understand that they weren't that hard on my brother, but they were really like, just like 95, why not 100 in a class, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but it's in my chart. And so like understanding that also like liberated me to know like, well, okay, yes, my soul brought that into this physical experience, but I meant to like shed that. Like I am worthy of whatever. I don't have to prove my worth to anybody anymore.
Yeah.
But of course, I still fall in those like pitfalls. So back to your point about like the self doubt, it shows up in your chart where you would experience self doubt. It shows up where you would experience burnout, where you would experience health issues. These kinds of things will show up, and you're just like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, obviously the tougher things aren't necessarily the amazing. You wouldn't think they're the amazing things.
Well, the transformation, like the eighth house and the 12th house can show transformation possibilities. And like those are interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Into that. Yeah.
it's I don't know. I mean, definitely. There's a lot of things to be considered, but like for me personally, I find it super exciting, and I like going like head first. Like, yeah, let's do it. Like totally Aries. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things, because I'm an Aries and my mother is also an Aries, but she's not. I don't think she's fully like on board with like astrology at all. But like there's like these moments and stuff that like she will be like, yeah, because this season where I'm going through, like I'm actually noticing this about myself, and like I can reflect on that for me personally. And I think that's just one of the most fascinating, the coolest things.
I'm not surprised. Like, again, like not knowing your mother's chart, but I think that people that are typically like, there's certain signs that would lean more into wanting to Pisces, of course, Pisces are like that. Scorpio, if you have like strong Scorpio placements, for Aries is very much like this ambitious. It just depends where Aries is in the chart. Like I met an Aries, I did a reading for an Aries and it was in his 12th house. And so, and his first house obviously was Taurus. And, but so having it in his 12th house and his sun sign is Aries, it was like he was super driven. And now he's like a motivational speaker which had nothing to do with what he did in his career, but he started getting to that path. And so it made sense. So it's kind of funny because I've met people and they'll say, oh, well, my partner isn't really a true Virgo. But well, that makes sense. Like, I'm not really a Pisces. Like, I'm not what you would think of a typical Pisces. But there are going to be aspects of our personality that do show up, like our sun sign or our moon or an rising sign, but maybe they won't be as prominent as others. Cause like my other placements are not in water. Like if I had my moon in water, if I had my moon water, my sun in water, and my rising sign in water, I would feel very much Pisces. I could relate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if your mother's like not curious, probably she's a really strong Aries. Maybe Aries is like she's probably gotten by like just like doing things like very, just assertive, ambitious, and there's been a need for her to lean into spirituality.
Yeah.
Maybe the gift for you with your mom is to help her lean into that side. Like I believe that our children are gifts to us and they help us learn about us. And so maybe like what you've gone through is going to help her explore that possibly. Maybe not. Who knows? But it's kind of cool that you are learning this and your path to spirituality is different than hers. And so, that's really cool. I love sharing information. Like I don't share to overpower or to like, some people share because they want to like control. Like, no, I love informing. And so, and growing up, I kept hearing, you're going to be a teacher, a public speaker. I'm like, oh, no. But no, I do love to share. And I think that like, I feel so fulfilled when I share knowledge. Or information. So
yeah, I'm so with you right there. Like I don't know. I was thinking about like my chart. I don't know if my chart would say that, or like, yeah.
Well, you gave me your chart the other night, but I remember like the birth time you kept, it was different. It kept changing. So it was 3 p.m., I believe.
Yeah, 3
Okay.
p.m.
So, I mean, I can actually pull yours up if you want.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can share the screen, but I think I can. This is actually kind of a fun tool. So I have a lot of stuff open. um,
Yeah, it happens.
well, and I feel like my computer, like Macs are great. They last forever. And okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Your chart. Oh, so I can request you to share to allow.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to decline that. I'm sorry. I'm kidding.
Okay. All right, it's fine. So I'm gonna share, and then you'll see your chart. Hang on.
Yeah. No, I was just messing with you.
No, I know, I got it. So share. Okay. So this is the site I was mentioning, astro.com, and I can see your chart here. And so I would pull up the chart drawing ascendant. And this is where I have, oh, I have to put my password. It's like not recognizing my fingerprint anymore. That's such a Mercury retrograde. Like I can't get into it. I'm not kidding you. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, why is and it's like stuck. This is my chart. I'm talking about, but I'll pull up yours. So this is you. Okay. So you are 3 p.m. Fort Collins, Colorado.
Mm.
You're sure it's 3 p.m.
Yep.
March 28th. So it's interesting that you have, yeah. Okay. So your sun sign is Leo, which also is a great contributor to sorry, not your sun. Your rising sign is Leo. Your sun sign is Aries. And having that is such a strong indicator. If you have your sun in a fire sign and a rising sign is a fire sign, this is why you're so resilient. Like why you've survived a lot, like you're meant to do this. And, I think that your Venus being in Aries, it's your Venus right there, is interesting because like that is why I think you do like lead from a place of love, like having the voice there and your sun sign there. And the ninth house for this Aries that is all about higher learning. And it's about like foreign travel. Like, I think we talked about this before where maybe you'd want to do foreign travel at some point.
Definitely.
So I have my Venus in my ninth house. And what that would indicate is that I've always heard I'm going to meet my partner, which does not happen, but like abroad. But I also think it's just a love for ninth house matters, which would be foreign travel, higher learning. It's also law. Like, I don't know if you've ever thought about legal, but I mean, I think that you could have a good place in connecting with people, helping their minds expand. And again, like leading from a place of love, but you could meet a partner, while traveling abroad.
That's amazing.
Is that fun? Yeah.
Yeah, that's super exciting because that's kind of what I have always since my accident, like I've had like this like intuitive feeling that like I am gonna marry or like go out with like somebody that's like the girl I envision, she's like a really really cute, a really beautiful black girl or black woman. I'm not saying that in like a weird way.
I know you're saying,
yeah, but like that's just what I feel or I portray.
Yeah, I just prettier your chart, so it's a better visual. Well, yeah, and I don't know. Like for me, it was like I'd meet somebody south of where I was born
Mm.
and, or traveling south. And so I'm not sure. So, so maybe the foreign attraction for you would be somebody who is like, maybe you have your astrocartography like in that part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Of like Caribbean, or is it like African, or
Yeah. Yeah. One of those in general area.
so yeah, so but it's kind of funny. So whenever you see Venus in the ninth house, that kind of says it. And also your Juno there. So Juno is this little guy. Like I love the asteroids, I love like the stars. And that's also is partnership. So I do feel like that's really a strong indicator of a partnership for you with
Awesome.
somebody of foreign. Now, a person opposite of your Leo is Aquarius. And so Aquarius is like unconventional partnership. It could be like I've seen charts like this, and somebody is just like, they always do long distance relationships, or they date somebody of very different backgrounds, or it's just like an unconventional partnership that is what they are attracted to.
Mm.
And also you have Uranus in there. So that could be like, unexpected changes could happen, like in partnership. Um, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, but
Very.
you have your lot of fortune. This is so interesting. Remember I talked about the lot of fortune and like in how just like fated things happen
Mm.
in Libra. What rules Libra? Venus, love. And your third house is in your third house. And the third house is like, it's cars. It's, neighborhood, community. It's, but
You said cars.
yeah. So in the third house rules automobiles. So, but the third house for you, I would say is like, that's like, it's a fated thing that is going to bring you your fortune in life.
No, I do think that's interesting. The cars thing, bringing the fortune. Um, because my car accident,
Yeah.
which didn't necessarily bring me a fortune at all. Brought me a lot of complications, more complications, but
Of course. No, I'm not trying to like diminish that at all, but I'm just saying, but
no, yeah,
it's
I'm
a
not like
fated event
defensive.
where it was like, it could actually like lead you to like finding your path and finding what you should be doing. In fact, I can look down here at the lot of fortune. What date was that?
June 4th, 2019.
Mm, it would have been very significant. Like May 5th, 2020 would, but I don't see, did something happen in 2023 or 2009?
Well, I was 8 years old in 2009.
Yeah. Does that make
I,
sense?
I,
Did you guys
well,
move? Did you move at that point? Like it's your fourth house of home.
I think I don't know if we moved that year. We moved a good bit, like growing up. Like 2009, I would probably be my transition from Arizona to an where was it? I think Houston.
But more recently, did something happen November 28th, 2023? And that would
Yeah.
be in your fifth house of creativity. So a couple years after your accident, right?
Mm.
Maybe you started becoming more like, when did you launch your channel? That kind of thing. It's in your house of creativity.
Yeah.
And that's Sagittarius, which is like the teacher in you. So maybe something happened in 2023 that feels more like a life
Yeah. And
change
that
version.
might be I'm thinking things related to holding life together. Like that was like when we like started everything.
Wow. Yeah. And that's like that's the energy
Or
of that.
I think it was a little bit before that, but if I'm seeing like
But the timing of that makes sense. Like that's zodiacal releasing. And so that's what I'm showing you down here. Like I mentioned, like the lot of fortune, lot of spirit, a lot of arrows. The spirit is health. And so I would say July 27th, 2018 could have been something significant. But you said these dates don't really align with the loosing of the bond, which doesn't mean anything. Your lot of Eros will change November 1st, 2028. And that's your like love. So,
mhm,
and it's also, that's interesting. It's going to be in your 12th house of Cancer,
mhm.
ruled by the moon. Anyway, so I'm going down a rabbit hole. You can cut all this stuff
Yeah,
out.
it's okay.
No, but
No, no, it's okay.
I think it's interesting where it's like, so that'll be your 12th house. So 2028 is just a couple years away.
Mhm.
And that
Crazy.
I know, right? So, but the Cancer is ruled by the moon in your 10th house. So I feel that your lot of like love will change because of your public persona, because that's your 10th house of career, and you have your moon in there, which is super powerful. So that will change in a couple of years. And it could be like somebody you meet through spiritual work, because that's the 12th house of spirituality,
Huh.
hospitals. But I mean, they say hospitals,
Yeah.
prisons. It's like, okay. But I think for you, I get the vibe of spirituality, like in a group
Mhm.
setting. And that could be a shift that shifts your whole like love life. And then that goes on until 2053. That's amazing.
That's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's it's just a lot to try to condense into the, like your mental capabilities.
But it's fascinating in that you just there's so many things that you can look at. There's other tools too, like
Hmm.
for area, but that's a different period of your life. But Vedic, and I just think it's so fun when you're just like, I want to know, or you just want hope. Like, how is my life gonna? We all go through patches where it's like not as as fun as it could be,
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
that's how you grow. And I think it's like kind of cool to understand, like, okay, if I can just get through this, and it's going to be much better, you know, the next year. And we all get through it, but
Mm.
it just could be harder for some than others. So hearing about, I pulled up your chart to like, I kind of got sidetracked about.
No, no,
It's
no, it's
always
okay.
also you have your Mercury in Pisces as well. Oh, so like this is why it's been a
What
double
is that?
whammy. So like it's communication's always been like you speak a different like people with Mercury and Pisces, like, as I had the same thing where it's like, I give a lot of context. I can kind of go down rabbit holes, like follow my train of thought. And it's like, or I lose my train of thought. And so we can often be misunderstood, but especially right now, and it's your eighth house of communication. So this is another indicator of somebody who's very like spiritually inclined. So I would say that it's not a surprise that you felt even like more like maybe foggy with communication during this retrograde. It's
Mm.
eighth house. So like you're meant to be like you probably have an even deeper intuitive gift of like psychic intuition that you're obviously leaning into currently, which is amazing for such a young person, but like you have that gift. Like that to me feels like a big gift for you.
Thank you.
But you have it. It's
That's
in your chart.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm partially thanking you for telling me that and thanking universe or higher self or whoever else. I don't know. Like it's just I love the complexity of that. It's yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And Yeah, so I really have appreciated you helping me read through these charts and having these awesome discussions about the impact of astrology and the way it can kind of be reflective to the things that happen in our lives and stuff, obviously. And that's just so fascinating.
Well, another supportive feature of your chart is your North Node, this little like mushroom looking guy
Mm,
in your 12th house of, again, like the 12th house is like spirituality. And so that's what your purpose is in this life, is to be a transformation. And Cancer, that sign is ruled by the moon. It's all about love energy. I mean,
it's
I just like
incredible.
got like major chills, like telling you that. Like for me, like I get messages from spirit guides, like from just like the goosebumps. And we all know, some people can smell, they smell things, they hear things, they see things. I've never heard anything. I've never seen anything I shouldn't see. I feel things and I feel that. And so when I said that, I'm like, wow, I just wanted to point that out. So you are meant to be transformative, and your karma you brought into this life in your 6th house is just like probably like a past physical experience. You killed it in the day to day. It was like, your health was great. Your job was, everything the day to day was like amazing. And like, so you've already fulfilled that soul's contract. And now you come into this life and like, now you're meant to be a transformative being who will help people's spirituality with spirituality. Cause like, that's also ruled by the moon, the mind, and your mother. Like that is so, like you were saying, your mother's been so inspiring to you and like helpful. And, um, you know, that's your mom.
For sure.
And so, and your mother would be the moon in the 10th house as a child. And so she is very stable. Like she's very like, there could be resistance to this sort of like information, about astrology. Cause it's like Taurus energy doesn't like, they just like what it is, like earth energy. It's very earthy, very like what's in front of me. Don't like change. But yeah, you're meant to be a transformative being and to share your voice, your 8th house, just like I would say, do you meditate?
Yeah, I do.
That's amazing. And like, if you get spiritual downloads, like I almost feel like, and I don't really know the hallmarks of like a near death experience, but I'm guessing that this is what it is. Like all this stuff in your chart.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Like you're a fighter. Like you're Leo rising. Like you're meant to shine. You are meant to shine. And Leo, the sun is in Aries. It's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the viewers?
I would say thank you for this opportunity. I'm always grateful. I appreciated the chance to share, and I always love to support my fellow spiritual beings and lead with love every day. Like that's what we need more of in this world, is just, if you can't lead with love, just stay home. Right?
Funny.
Don't you think? Like,
yeah,
it's a better world.
I mean, as it's so simple to like say, and from our perspective, like just to say, like just lead with love, but it's very difficult. Like with the way, like with the conditioning of everything.
Yeah.
There's like, and the human bias. Like, I mean, there's a lot to that.
It can be challenging. Yeah. But you have such beautiful places in your chart of that energy. And like, that's what you're meant to do, Holden. Like you're meant to do that.
Thank you so much. Do you have like a website where people could check you out?
I have an Instagram page. My website, again, because of like, I've been in this, my studies at T and it was kind of disrupted, but, my Instagram is Mary_Frances, FRANCES _daily, DALY. that's my Instagram. I haven't posted on there, but I do check my messages. I post stories here and there, but yeah, so I'm going to get back more into my coaching. My coaching is, I have a pretty strong coaching practice, but, you know, when you go through the side I said to you, kind of reinvent yourself. So, but yes, I can be reached on my Instagram page. That's a very circuitous way of saying that. Thank you, Holden. I appreciate it.
Yeah.